Mary Jane, devil's lettuce, grass, gas, boof. All these words mean the same thing, and that's good old cannabis. What's up, everyone? It's your boy Leftaro, and I'm going to be sharing today a story of my first experience getting geeked off the devil's lettuce. Now, before I get into the story, I just want to make it very clear. I do not condone the use of illegal substances and drugs whatsoever. This video is being made for educational and entertainment purposes only. What I'm about to share should not be replicated by anyone, whether you are young or unk status. If you happen to do illegal substances and drugs whatsoever after watching this video, then it's solely done on your own free will, and I have zero influence on the matter. Now that we got that out the way, let's jump into the story. So this story takes place when I was just a junior in high school. At the time, I was working at a grocery store that we will refer to as Walter Mart. Well, at the time, I was working with a bunch of people. So many people, in fact, that you'd think that it was a faction in WWE, like the Bloodline or Straight Edge Society. It was me and 7 other people. Luckily, I don't need to name drop everyone, but there were 2 that were very important to this story. You had myself. We're going to go with Ryan and Alex. That's not their actual names, but we're just going to be using those anyway. So one night, all 8 of us had made a plan to take our lunch late and to go out to the side of the building and all take hits off of Alex's new Benjamin. I want to make it clear that at the time, I was very skeptical on smoking due to being extremely paranoid about my parents finding out, which at the time would have led me to being basically on house arrest, with them forcing me to quit and being limited to my room and the restroom next to my room. Did that stop me though? Hell no, it didn't. If anything, I was very excited more than I was skeptical that night. So, we all work most of our shift, we get to lunch and clock out for lunch, meet outside, and for some reason, all 8 of us thought it was a great idea to cram every single one of us into one car. Well, to our surprise, a 2001 Honda Civic ain't gonna hold 5 dumbass high schoolers, let alone 8. Alex felt like that he was the one providing, so he should get shotgun, while the rest of us cram in the back. Luckily, I was able to be one of the lucky 5 to get a back seat spot, unlike Ryan, who was forced to be in the trunk with the middle seat slightly down so we could still pass it to him, and, well, so he could still breathe as well. But guess who had to sit in the middle seat? That's right, me. And to top it all off, because I was the tallest in the group, I had to have someone sit on my lap while also having really bad posture with the back seat slightly laying down on my back. It felt like being in a sardine can that smelled like Walter Mart, cologne, and the cart smelled like dust. Nonetheless, though, we ignored that fact and decided to take our hits anyway. We get about 2 rotations in before Alex turns around in his seat and proceeds to say, "Can any of y'all hit a blinker? I bet you can't." Now, my dumbass, being a level 1 Mary Jane enjoyer, had no idea what it was or how hard it was to actually do it without coughing up a lung. But Alex, on the other hand, was more like a Prestige 5 level 50 booth lord and started to take a blinker. For those that don't know what a blinker is, it's hitting a pin for so long that the pin itself blinks and stops producing vapor, which usually ranges between 8 to 15 seconds, give or take the pin. After Alex gets done taking his blinker, he proceeds to let out all that smoke that he just inhaled and say, "I bet none of y'all can do that. Only I can. I'm the only experienced one here." Now, you would assume a level 1 like me wouldn't even dare to try to do what a Prestige 5 level 50 did. I mean, hell, he probably has that unlocked in his cannabis skill tree while I'm still here planting the seed. But you'd be wrong, because in that moment that he said that, I said to myself, this dude really thinks I'm too much of a bitch to do that. I'll show him. Once it got down to my turn, I did exactly that. I took my blinker, held it in for a few seconds, and inhaling the smoke was easy, but exhaling it on the other hand, that's a completely different story. You see, when I started exhaling all that smoke, I was doing it in a slow and a controlled manner, thinking that it would just nullify the pain, because I had a feeling that there was going to be something that happens after I blow all the smoke out. It wasn't until I go to pass the pen to Ryan, and he proceeds to say, "About damn time, I thought you guys forgot about me." Now, during this time, the THC compounds were already invading my body, knocking out any and all functioning brain cells I had at the time. And for some reason, I found this hilarious. I started to laugh, which puffed out all the smoke all at once out of my lungs, and it looked like I had just blown dust off of a very old phone book. If you hadn't already assumed so, when I had let out all that smoke at once, I started to cough. Really, really, really bad. Like, we're talking, I wasn't able to control it or stop it, none of that. It got so bad that the person sitting on my lap had to give me his water bottle because it sounded like I was going to puke. By the time it got to my turn again, I had it under control, and you'd assume that I wouldn't go for it again and I learned my lesson. Well, during my moment there, the already dominating THC compounds got their reinforcements from that blinker and basically took over my brain, and I hadn't noticed it yet because I was too focused and fixated on redeeming myself. So what do? Well, I take another blinker. I take my blinker, I pass the pen to Ryan, and everything seems fine. It actually seems about the same as when I first hit it. Taking the hit itself felt nice, but now it's time to control exhaling the smoke out. That didn't feel nice. The more that I exhaled, the more that it felt like that my lungs were shriveling up like a dude's sack on steroids. So it was only a matter of time again before I started uncontrollably coughing again. Except this time, it was so bad that I had to get out of the car and swish water around in my mouth and spit it out like an NFL football player on the sidelines. Except this time, instead of losing to another group of dudes doing the same thing, I lose to a tiny tech stick with THC that's fighting 8 other dumbass high schoolers and only winning against me. Ryan hears this and proceeds to get out of the trunk. He walks up to me and says, "Let's walk to Wendy's and get you some food," which luckily for us was right across the street from where we worked. The rest decided to go for another rotation and would meet us there. When we finally get there, I'm standing in line to order and my head feels so incredibly foggy that it felt like I was a Dead by Daylight survivor trying to traverse the fog. I really wasn't able to think that much and was kind of just standing in line trying to figure out what I want, except I couldn't decide because I was actually blankly staring at the menu screen. Ryan then looks at me and goes, "Hey bro, I don't mean to be that guy, but your eyes are pink as shit. Just tell me what you want and I'll order for you." Well, if this was me today, I would have taken up on that offer had I known what I was going to say to the cashier when it was my turn to order. But instead, I told him that I was fine and proceed to order, saying, can I get a double Whopper meal with a Dr. Pepper and a 10-piece McNugget?" Upon me saying that, the cashier chuckles and says, "Sir, this is a Wendy's." After hearing that, I was absolutely starting to panic and proceed to apologize, then say I meant a double Big Buford with a 10-piece nugget. Luckily, the cashier knew what I meant by saying that and placed the order anyways, despite Big Bufords only being sold at Checkers and Rallies, not Wendy's. I pay for the order and go sit down. As everyone else shows up, we dap up and proceed to explain how I feel, which at the moment was a mixed feelings of someone that just unplugged my brain from its socket and I can't think, and feeling happier overall despite looking like a dumbass at the counter just 3 minutes ago. I get my food, start heading back, and we go eat my food in the break room. So we get back to Walter Mart, go into the break room, and I start to enjoy my food. Only having 15 minutes left for my lunch break, I ask Ryan, "Is everyone else doing alright? It's been a little bit since we've last seen them, and it's cutting it closer when we need to go back to work." Just as Ryan was pulling out his phone to text them, they come back and they were sounding extremely relieved. They came in and they were saying, "Oh my god, big dog! We thought you were on the stretcher, bros, for real! We're so glad you're alright!" And my very first thought was, why would I be on the stretcher? That wasn't until Alex goes to explain that around where we were smoking at originally, some guy had OD'd and was being sent to the hospital. And they thought that that guy was me. Now keep in mind that when Ryan and I were heading back, there wasn't a single person or a sound or nothing, no sign of an ambulance whatsoever. So them saying that was news to me. I proceed to tell them that I am okay and explain how I felt again and that I am locking in for work. Which is where the complete opposite happens. I go to clock back in for my final hour of work, I go to put canned goods up on the shelf until my supervisor told me that I need to go to the back and work on some training videos that I need to finish. Long story short, Walter Mart makes you to retake specific training videos every so often that need to be completed by a specific date and time. And I was putting mine off for weeks because I preferred to stock. So the rest of the shift, I'm just sitting in a little office-like room in the back watching a video on what to do if a lunatic with a piece is lighting up in the store. I was so unbelievably stoned out of my mind that I barely paid attention to it and was dozing off, to which I did doze off. Ryan saw me as he was leaving for work and proceeds to wake me up telling me that it was time to clock out. So I did exactly that. I clocked out, go to stand outside waiting for my parents because I didn't have a car at the time, went home, went to bed, and passed out. I know the ending was a little anticlimactic, but sometimes that's just how a story is, and that's genuinely all that went down. Sorry about that. Sometimes the most anticlimactic endings to stories are the ones that feel the most genuine and real. If you got this far into the video, comment down your thoughts on The Devil's Lettuce below. And if you like the content, don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit the bell to know when I post or go live, because we are doing daily uploads until we become partner. If you have a Discord, consider joining the Thousand Sunny Discord server. Link is in the bio of the channel, the very first link that you'll see. With that being said, guys, this is Lev Taro, signing off. Have a blessed rest of your day, and goodbye.